his legacy will live because of he's such a good human being, which is way better than being a football coach.
For me, you know, again, it's just the person that he is. For me, the impact that he made on me as a person, as a young man, you know, is greater than anything he could have done for me as an athlete.
I think he embodies everything that you want in a coach. He is personable, he is passionate, a fierce competitor and wants to win, but he keeps it all in perspective.
He's an unbelievable coach, and his coaching style is so effortless, and you can just see that he's a born leader and ready to mold all these young minds into young men and take them into the future, not only as football players, but as respected members of society.
Hands down, the pinnacle of my 37 years in coaching were those years spent with him.
Coach Steve Shevlin retired from coaching football after the 2019 season, ending an incredible 30-year run as coach. That's how this story ends, but let's go all the way to the beginning. Steve Shevlin fell in love with the game as a young kid watching the Dallas Cowboys on TV. During his childhood, his family moved around quite a bit, but eventually settled in Culver City. It was at Culver City High School where Steve's football journey began.
It was great. You know, the playing times of my, I played as a freshman team, kind of the sophomore team is what they called it back then. And then my junior and senior years played varsity at Culver. Won the league championship our junior year, had a really solid team. Senior year got hit with some serious injuries. I think we finished third or fourth. But I was a kind of a receiver, defensive back. I played receiver and then corner my junior year, and kind of a strong safety, free safety my senior year. Had a lot of fun, some great memories. And this is what I tell the kids today. I said, you don't get those opportunities back. And you really want to experience it, at least try it to see what it's about. And those are some great times back then, playing at Culver with those friends of mine now, still friends today. My varsity years at Culver, my position coach, his name was John Becker, and he was kind of the wide receiver DB coach, young guy, super popular. He was kind of a sub and then became a full-time teacher. And I remember he lived down in Manhattan Beach. He had the weekends free. All the kids would kind of see him down there, playing volleyball. And it was just like, I want to be that guy someday. I mean, this guy was just the most carefree, fun-loving guy and super inspirational, which is one of the things I've tried to learn how to emulate. And I thought, man, if I could just teach and go into coaching and do something that I've really enjoyed being a part of with the football aspect, it would be a wonderful opportunity for me. And so that's where I got my initial inspiration.
After his football playing career came to an end, Steve Shevlin found his calling in coaching. He coached first at his former school, Culver City, as the 10th grade head coach. Years later, Steve got the call to come to El Segundo, but to coach a different sport at first.
When I had the opportunity to start coaching at El Segundo, I started as an assistant baseball coach, with John Stevenson and Craig Cousins, and then that went into football with Steve Newell. And then when Steve Newell stepped away, Craig Cousins took over for a couple of years while I was still grounding my feet, and took over a couple of years after that as the head coach.
His first job on the football team would be as the defensive coordinator for the Eagles.
It was interesting. I'd coached defense a little bit at Culver when I was in the head coach role, And we stepped in and had some outstanding football players the first year and the second year. And I remember we led the South Bay in scoring defense our junior year. Joey Boulder, who's an assistant coach with us now, and Jeff Puffer, who's an assistant coach, were players on that team. And we were a dynamic defense those 2 years, which was really fun to coach. It was kind of we call it a monster 5-3 kind of look is what we ended up really selling out to. And we had a lot of fun. And I think some of the games, you know, you're like still today, you're still a little mismatched by either overall team numbers or some of the talent. But I thought that helped me understand what's going on offenses a little better. And when we transitioned to the head coach role, and I started to learn some of the offense that we're doing today, that really transitioned me to help understand defenses.
Early on in his tenure at El Segundo, Steve Shevlin was presented with an opportunity to be the head coach, but decided it was not the right time just yet.
You know, it was really interesting. Coach Newell had a team meeting after the first or second year I was here, and he said he was going to retire or resign. And he said, I'm recommending myself and Craig Cousins. And I was my first or second year at the school, and I wouldn't have been ready. And I thought Craig taking the team, we were already pretty good friends, was a really good move. It was a kind of a move I think John Stevenson saw that it would help me benefit long term. And Craig was a great mentor, did a great job kind of leading the program. He'd been a great assistant coach under Steve, and as he took over, he really taught me different aspects of being a leader and kind of the culture of El Segundo and what to understand when dealing with the kids or the parents or the community.
In 1994, the time had come for Steve Shevlin to take over the football program as the head coach. Coach Shevlin would have to clear his first hurdle on the job during his very first day.
Our very first year, you know, I tried to do the summer program, and you know, and up to that point, there hadn't really been like the passing league stuff or the weights. So I was trying to re-implement some of the things that I had been doing elsewhere at Culver. And I remember really the funniest part of it was we go to fall practice. You know, it's kind of your first day in pads. And we go out there and we go, okay, we're gonna have fall practice, August 24th, whatever it was. And you have to be cleared through the athletics office before you're allowed to out on the field. So I'm all excited, I'm all prepped from the week before. I've got everything dialed in for the whole week. I've spent hours and I'm totally stressed. It's my first like real official day. And I remember Coach Parker and I walked out there and we had like 6 kids cleared. And I'm going, hey, no practice, go home, call your buddies. We got to get this ship, you know, right. So that was my very first taste of what I was up against, and I'm going, oh my goodness. And I think that was just a transition period of coaching. You know, like you're leaving a program that had a lot of success with Coach Newell. New change, not sure what to expect. I think the kids just, you know, weren't sure what they had to do. Who knows? But it was eye-popping to see that, you know, the very first day, and you're like this, and you go, you can't even practice. So that was my very first day.
When we started summer camp, the 2-a-days, there's a athletic packet and some registration process that you have to go for before you're able to come out and practice. And we had 7 kids cleared on day 1.
How did you guys feel the rest of the team?
It just took time. Just took time. And Steve being a very charismatic teacher on campus, and other teachers like Steve Newell and Craig Cousins and John Stevenson, very, very influential. And we just went after the kids, walking down the hall, you know, hey, we need you to play football. Hey, I know you play basketball and baseball, why don't you add football? You know, we need a lot of 3-sport athletes. We have a small enrollment. We need everyone to do as many as they can. And Steve and those guys really reached out and accommodated those kids. We just started running a more fun, wide open offense, and it just became more enjoyable.
Early on in his career, Coach Shevlin would get another eye-opening experience as a young coach.
We're playing Culver City, and they were running that double wing T offense at the time, and it's our homecoming game, and I'm all fired up, and we're playing Culver City, which is, you know, kind of my rival. All the kids knew it. I still had Culver City kids that had played for me coming to the school and visiting and saying hi, and I remember a couple things. One, I remember taking some Culver City stuff and putting it on the football field and stomping on it and doing crazy stuff like we're gonna beat these guys and et cetera, et cetera. So we give them this big pump-up speech. It's it's a 3-0 at halftime. We're winning, and we are so fired up. Homecoming, big crowd. The homecoming crowds. That has not changed how crazy it is on homecoming. And they decided they were going to play the second half, and they just beat us down. And it was, final was 50-3. So we gave up 50 second half points, and I'm going, oh man, I don't know how we're going to ever survive this. I didn't see how we could keep coaching. And those are some great stories about the competitiveness. But really the challenge that we were up against as a school, small school, playing in this big enrollment league that we were forced to play in.
In the 1999-2000 season, the El Segundo Eagles would start to turn things around thanks to a new offensive-minded coordinator and a new offense.
The big transition point, though, for me was when Gene Engel, who's the dad of Matt Engel, who was the premier historical quarterback in this program, he and Lars. But when Gene Engel came in, he came in with a wealth of experience and by far the most influential coach I have ever been around in terms of offensive football. I mean, just the knowledge base he had and was willing to share and teach the kids was really the transition point. And that was in 99, started in 99, but really 2002 is where it kicked off. And I think from that point moving forward is where the program really decided, hey, we can be competitive no matter what we do.
In the summer of '99, my son was an incoming freshman, and I came to Steve and I said I would be happy to volunteer in any way possible. If I can do anything to make the program better, if you want me to help coach the offensive line or work in the summer with them, I'll do anything, because I'd like to make this a really great football experience for my son. So he said, let me think about it and get back to you. And he came back in a couple of weeks and said, I'd like you to basically install the El Camino offense. Teach it to me and let's put it in and work together to run it. And so that's what I did.
My freshman year, El Segundo put together a really strong season and really turned the program around. I think that freshman year, and there were some strong seniors on that team, a quarterback named Ryan Gilbert who did a great job, and that was kind of, I think, the key catalyst. And for me as a freshman, getting to see this group of seniors buy into the new program, the new offensive system, and then I was able to take it over my sophomore year and then run with it, and I think we've never looked back.
The football program continued to take down opponents for the next few years, making El Segundo a legit football school. In 2008, the Eagles would upgrade even more, this time on defense.
I think moving past that, when Dan Heck took over as a defensive coordinator, that gave our defensive side of the ball a real identity. And I think those things have really carried on through the end of my tenure here, but will continue to carry on moving forward.
Well, we were in the office, I remember, and I had no aspirations or visions of doing that, because I had said I had started coaching when I was 23. I was probably 60 at the time, and I was just kind of doing my thing and helping out again. And he said, I want you to be my defensive coordinator. So you go back again and go, really, you want me to be the, and I was a quarterback in college, doing all the offensive stuff. And when I was at El Camino, I was working with the defense and the linebackers, and we had an excellent defensive coordinator over there, and I learned a whole lot from him. And so I said, well, God, I think I could do this at this level. And again, it comes back to his power of persuasion, Shev, and you just say, okay, we'll go with this. And he let me run with it, and it turned out to be okay.
It turned out to be more than okay, as Coach Heck's defenses were always amongst the toughest and scariest units on the field. It was the hard-nosed defense and another young quarterback that would lead the Eagles to one of the more memorable seasons in El Segundo football history.
That whole thing was magical. We'd had the CIF championship run the year before. It was kind of an up and down season. We had Jamie Stewart, who was a marquee receiver for us and safety, and it was just a special group of kids. And Lars was coming off a sophomore year where he was the quarterback and had really just dialed in and knew everything. So that team works its way to the championship game and would lose. But coming back the next year, we were all back. And we jumped from what was then Division 10, then they moved us up to Division 7, which was a huge jump, and our kids knew it. And we just go through undefeated through the league season, and we're sitting at 10-0. And Lars was the linchpin. We were just rolling. It was one of the most magical seasons I thought we could play. We got in there, we were doing great. We get to the playoffs, and we win the first game. But that second game we're going in the game we eventually lost, I remember that Monday practice, you clap it up and you're all excited, and we were dead flat. And we were dealing with sickness, so some tiredness, and we get into the game against a really good Simi Valley team, which is 3,000 students. And we're ready to go. And I remember Lars tweaked his knee on a spin around, scrambling, and tweaked his knee, and we had to take him out, and we just couldn't recover in that game, so we lost. But in terms of the season, it was so fun to watch, and I tell the kids, go back and look at it on YouTube or Huddle, because you see how everything should come together. Coach Heck's defense was amazing, our offense was totally dialed in, and you see all the magic happening at one time, and it's something really special. That's what you strive for, is that type of season.
I mean, it was one of those magical moments, where, we felt like we were a pretty senior-heavy team that year, and, and Coach Shevlin, we had just went to the CIF championship game the year before, so we had some momentum and some confidence coming into that season. And Coach Shevlin, he really did, an amazing job that year with teaching us and coaching us and making sure that we were, playing within ourselves, but also did a good job of letting us play the way we played. But that doesn't happen without Coach Shevlin, and all the years leading up to it too, from when we were freshmen, instilling confidence to say that, we could do something special like that. But a special moment for sure.
One of the best parts of being on a team, whether as a coach or a player, is the memories you create and the bonds you make. The best memories we remember are usually the funny ones.
We were playing a game here at home, and I used to punt, so I thought I knew a little bit about punting. So we had our punter over there in the corner of the field punting, and he was like shanking and going this way. So I thought, oh, hey, well, let's just go give him a tip here and see if I can help him. So I walk over and talk to him, and apparently Steve was watching me doing and walk over, and we stand there and talk a little bit. So his next attempt made your shank. Steve walks over and he says, "Coach, don't coach any more of that." Oh, well, okay. I guess that was a bad. Okay, I'll walk away while getting's good here. So he was, and but he did it in a real polite. He doesn't get your out of here or anything. You don't know what you're talking about. But yeah, he was nice enough about it, just to tell me to find something else to do.
The dadgummit, where he gets all fired up, I use that too. Oh man, that was a huge one. He'd kind of come in spurts, right? Like he'd be pretty loose, and then he'd just come out of nowhere and just get people fired up.
One of Coach Shev's go-to phrases, it's not only an official word, but it's like a phrase or a word that he would say when he would get frustrated or mad. You never swear, he would just go, "Dag nabbit, run it again," "Ingo, what are you doing?" I throw it to him, but he would always say, "Dag nabbit," Again, that's not even a word, but Coach Shevlin made it up, so I guess it's a word in his dictionary. But yeah, that's something I think has been consistent. We joke with other players from different years. We get together, we'll joke about Coach Shevlin saying that.
Since I graduated, my family does Rice Krispie treat wreaths, and we kind of distribute them to homey families around the community. And so every year I show up on Shev's doorstep around Christmas time with a Rice Krispie treat wreath that he's expecting. I always get a text, where's my Rice Krispies? And so yeah, he's more than a football coach, for sure.
We went to, we were all in the district vans, and we loaded up. We had about 5 or 6 coaches in there, and we're going to a coaches conference. It's at Santiago High School, So we have the Google Maps, and we're set, we're hip, we know what we're doing. We get there, and it seems rather empty. It's a Saturday, and it's kind of empty. And Steve gets on the phone and calls the fellow that's running. He goes, hey, you know, where are you guys? He goes, well, we're here in the main gym. We're in front of the main gym and there's nothing. He goes, well, where are you? We're at Santiago High School, just off of, you know, this. You're at the wrong Santiago High School. So we had to jump back in, and it was like a 30, 40-minute drive. There was another Santiago High School that was further down the road. So that's his fearless leadership in action there, where it kind of came apart.
Steve's voice is terrible, but so every road game that we win, they start this alma mater, and he sings this, and I'm sitting right next to him, and it's just terrible. It is literally terrible. Well, and I have to quantify that. It's not an easy song to sing. I mean, the chorus sings it, and I go, geez, that's, and they're talented people singing it. I go, that's hard to sing, but Steve wasn't embarrassed to let it all hang out, and so, but I gave him crap every time he started, and I was almost, you know, God, let's don't win this game because I got to listen to this song again on the way home. Oh, it was bad, but yeah, a good-natured fun that we made of each other, and it was a pleasure to coach for him. He made it easy.
The decision to step away from something is never an easy one, especially something that has been a part of your life for over 30 years. For Coach Shevlin, the decision to retire was on his mind for the last few years, but he wanted to make sure the program was left in good hands.
And everyone said 2008 was going to be, that's the year Shevlin's going out, go out on this high note. And I said, I'm still feeling pretty good. Dan's with me, Coach Heck's still with me. So that, I pushed through that. Then it was, okay, as CJ comes through, I know he's going to want to coach his kid, and he's going to have fun with that and success. And then, so now we get through the Lars years and his thing, and everyone said, okay, Lars's year, he's going out on that because that's the championship run and his undefeated season. And okay, he's going to retire there. And now his kid's only a year away, so let's get through CJ. So now all those kids come through, and Jake Palmer and CJ and those guys all grew up together, and great memories coaching them. That season ends, and okay, he's stepping down this year, And I'm telling Coach Heck, I go, hey, let's do 2 more years, and we'll jump out. I promise we're going to jump out. So we get 2 more years, and I go, hey, let's go 2 more years. And he's going, this guy's never getting out. He goes, I'm out.
When his son came up for his senior year, CJ, okay, that's going to be it for both of us, and Steve wanted us to go out together, which was okay with me. Okay, we'll go through CJ's last year, and then it became one more year, and then come on, we got 1 more in us, so we'll go 1 more year, and after that second year, I said, Steve, this is you don't talk me into another one. Okay, Coach, we're going to go, and he had plans to go 2 years ago or a year ago for us to go out together. And he had the program set up where one of the assistants was going to take over. Well, at the last minute, that assistant said, I'm not going to do it. Steve's not going to just turn it over to anybody. So he said, okay, I've got to go 1 more year so I can set this up again. And that's why he went 1 more year after me. And I think it probably was a good thing. And then instead of me nosing in on his retirement party, he got to do it himself. And I think he was totally deserving of everything he had.
Kind of after CJ's years, after the first year after that, I felt like if I could find the transition to happen the right way and make it smooth, I would probably look then to step down. I was starting to realize that the energy it takes was getting harder. Nothing the kids didn't see. They saw the same thing, but keeping it together, putting it together was just getting tougher on me, physically and mentally. So we had a couple guys in place, didn't quite work out, so they backed off. And as they backed off, I stayed on. And I approached Coach Green, who's going to be taking over the program, and I asked him, I said, hey, you would be an ideal coach to understand the culture of our program. He works for the city, he played for me, he understands what we believe in as a football program, and he would be a great leader. But he kind of I needed to ask him. I said, number one rule is make sure your family's on board, because I can tell you how much time it takes, but I can't do it justice because it's unbelievable. But if family's on board, and then obviously if his job and his bosses were on board, then he would be able to make the transition. He came back and said yes to everything, and we decided that he would kind of shadow me this year. And as we got into mid-season, I said, are we still good? Are you still feeling good? He goes, yeah, I think we're good. And that's when I really knew it was going to be time to transition out.
That's going to do it. The Vikings win this one by a final score 28-20. They will move on and advance to the playoffs. El Segundo season is over. Coach Shevlin is retired. Again, we say congratulations to a great coach. 26 years here in El Segundo. Terrific run.
Thank you, Steve, for 26 amazing years.
Coach Shev has done so much for the football team, all the athletics here at El Segundo, and for the community. I think that his legacy is going to live on for years and years and years to come, similar to the way that Coach Stevenson's.
You know, like I said myself, like we still talk pretty frequently. Whenever there's events held in El Segundo, you know, he's there, and he's the first guy that people want to go up and shake his hand. And you know, all my buddies are still idolizing him as, you know, a role model in the things that he does and the way that he carries himself. He was huge in my development as far as being a professional, and I still look to him today, like I said, to get, you know, experience, life skills, and all that type of stuff.
Shev really he was a great mentor when it comes to not just sports, but just life in general, and how sports is a reflection of life and being able to help you kind of go through challenging times.
He really took us, I call it the dark ages, when we were in that old Ocean League. It was just so discouraging. He took us from the dark ages and with a high-powered offense, and we retooled the defense and tried to make it more accommodating for the athletes that we had. And they always feel like they can come to Steve with anything. He handles so many things off of that have zero to do with football.
He's just a great guy. He's a great man. He listens to you. He has that little kid quality in him that most adult men don't have. He's enthusiastic. He knows what he wants. He gets that out of you, not knowing that he's getting it out of you. You just give it to him. You just want to help him because he is genuine about his feelings about you, about everybody.
And I've told many people in the past, I said there's a lot of great coaches here in the South Bay, a lot of very successful coaches, Steve being one of them. But there's nobody I would rather have my son play for than Steve Shevlin.
And I think I'm going to miss that the most, the kids for sure, and the relationship with the kids and the coaches.